or something like that.
Okay. Yeah, I can get on board with that, and it's just interesting too, because I mean, I feel like this all changes too when we get more heroes in the pool, because at the end of the day, the amount of sorry, something needed to say in cast, but something that gets changed as you add more heroes is the amount of pocket strategies that are available. I mean, right now you can only. I mean, we talk about a major change in the meta or whatever. It's a little bit exaggerated in the sense of when you compare it to other games, but when you start to see Junkrat back being played, I mean, we saw him in the Atlantic Showdown. We even saw Symmetra be pulled back out again, like you said. Internet Hulk was playing it, but at the same time, it's not like that is majorly different than what's been done before. Whereas before, when you talk about it, looks like we should be getting started any moment, guys. Everyone is here. But when you look at the other games, especially like MOBAs, when they have an extremely diverse meta in that respect, it's the shifts are majorly different and the pocket picks are majorly different. We don't quite have that ability yet in Overwatch because there just isn't the hero pool to do it, but I definitely feel like once there is a hero pool, that might also change this discussion in a big way.
Yeah, and that's kind of the part which is like a little interesting is how many heroes here, and how we're going to make sure an adequate number of playtime, right? Which is like, for example, in Dota, like you have like character bans, which I like. Dota and League, you have character bans, which kind of like mitigates the pool, and it's because not every hero is viable, unfortunately, right? So I'm kind of interested to see, in the character creation model, are they going to specifically say like, while they're like specific AD carry roles or something like that, are they going to be like, well, this is a hit scan, like they're going to say, well, these are all the viable hit scan, like the characters. We have like 5 viable ones. Let's do a ban system where like we do like 3, 4, or even like 5 bans or something like that, right? And then it basically allows you to kind of construct specific comps and maybe specific synergies with each other, and maybe move forward from there, and that becomes like a whole different bag of whole different can of worms at that point.
Yeah, no, most definitely. But we'll get into the introductions here, as we are going to be seeing a pretty standard defensive strategy on Hollywood. Traub going to be picking up the Zenyatta, the Rexter on the Lucio, Noisy going to be picking up the Genji. We have Kev over here on the Reinhardt. Jonah going to be picking up the McCree. And Junkrat, well, if there's a map that you can almost guarantee to be seeing him on more often than not, I feel like Hollywood is one of the better candidates.
Yep, I agree. And on the side of Copenhagen Flames, Javel on Reinhardt, Finif on Zenyatta, Finfi on Zarya, Sheena on Reaper, Effect on Lucio, and Nidris on McCree.
So the offense as well going to be pretty standard here. It looks like they're going to be going for more of a left side strategy here with the Reaper, wanting to get into that close quarters. They want to get onto that Junkrat and force him out. That's going to be the primary goal here of the offense. If they can get him out, they can not have to worry about that spam, but unfortunately, he does get wind of what they're doing, aware that they haven't pushed in. Where else would they be? And now they're on the high ground, but Finif ends up taking on Noisy. That's not a good start here for the side of the defense. They need to stabilize and hold out. They need to be getting the first pick here, as they do have that incredibly long run. The Reaper for the offense, doing a lot of damage so far as Ninja gets in the background, takes out Jonah. Charge from the defensive Reinhardt puts him in an incredibly bad position, and Kev's now going to be taken out. And right now it looks like NewTeam is having a hard time stabilizing the defense. I don't even think they've gotten a single kill so far, Scribe, as the offense successfully takes the first point. And did they get... that was just a clean take from the offense, I believe.
Yeah, and honestly, that was a snowball from the moment that, the Genji, like, Noisy got caught out there on top. Like, I don't know why he decided to dive in and just didn't kite back. But the big problem was there was such a big division. You had everyone under Cap A and the rest of them by dumpsters and behind there trying to make room. But the fact that, Copenhagen Flames was able to abuse that division so much and pick them off one by one really led up to that fight.
Well, it's what you need to be doing on the offense here. We'll see if they can continue it onto the second portion of the map, trying to get the high ground control of General Store, but Kev will finally answer for the defense as they get their first kill on Hollywood. And he's even going to go for the space, jumping down, slamming the ground. 2 going to fall over from that, and he's going to go ahead and help clean up Effect in the end as well, as he gets participation on that kill as well as participation on the 4th kill of that fight. And the defense going to go ahead and stabilize here as NewTeam is able to get control. And this is exactly what you do need on this map. I mean, defense needs to have high ground control on this portion of the map. It is so important to milk that as an asset to your setup.
Yeah, that was a little disjointed where I think Javo tried to go up for the engage, and Finfi, which was just a second behind on the engage, was really disoriented. And but of course, that great Earth Shatter by Kev, that was just almost ridiculous, catching out both DPS dealers, and that was just enough.
Looks like, though, the bit of a misplay there from Jonah with his Deadeye. Tried to jump down and get good angle on it, but we're going to sit on Nidra's here as he's over the high ground with an amazing Deadeye angle. He's going to get himself Noisy, and the Ricks are going to go down. And now the Winston's going to attempt to deal with him, but Dreft is just going to eat a flashbang and a double headshot. And so far, the defense, everything they've gained in that moment before is slowly bleeding away as they lose hero after hero. And I guess Jonah's Deadeye could have done a lot more there, but he ends up falling into the offense, and I don't know if that was a mistake of him over committing to the ledge and falling over out of misplay, or him wanting to fall over, but nonetheless, it just did not go the way he wanted.
Yeah, and of course, Pashina getting a great kill on Noisy does so much on 50's ultimate. This is what you need to do, zone it off. But Pashina just in the backline doing so much damage, just, oh man, doing so much in general. And of course, Jabo going into the backline, picking up Torb, not allowing him to kind of back off, stay safe, and staggering that spawn. So right now they're going into this last studio phase, with Sheena, with Dragon Blade, and that's almost enough to do a lot of clearing. So hopefully that'll be able to something to see. Jabo does switch over to the Reinhardt to make this push a little easier.
Yeah, and they're going to need more ultimates, though, for the defense to go ahead and stabilize here. They need Jonah to get that Deadeye up. They are going to need that Transcendence with the offense. Similar situation. The difference is, though, I feel like this Dragon Blade can do a lot more on the solo than that Earthshatter can from Kev, but we'll end up seeing here what happens. Is this is a nice position, though, for a defensive Reinhardt to do a lot with that Earthshatter. Natural choke, natural setup here for that ability as he does push forward with the sound barrier, and he's going to actually hit a greater shatter as they spread out. The Reinhardt was not in a good position, and Nidris is going to get charged. Doesn't help at all when you take 300 damage instantly. Transcendence is a great ability, but not that good, and the defense, off the back of that, is going to definitely put themselves in a great position. As they are going to even chase it out a little bit far here, and I don't know, Kev might have put himself in a very bad position here as all the offense is going to be respawning, but Jonah ends up taking out one as they spawn, and that's going to buy time for Kev to get back, but nope. Finfy goes ahead and takes him out. Finfy's going to go ahead and chain it into a double. Can Finfy change it into a triple? That's just going to go ahead and bubble up Javo, pushing forward 40 on his ultimate, 26% on this energy charge, and that's what you want to be seeing is that high energy charge, 65%. And this Zarya is going to start to dish out serious damage, but it's Nidris is going to be the one picking up the kill, and right now it is going to be Copenhagen Flames getting super close to converting the payload. Kev's going to charge forward. There's going to be a sound barrier for the defense to go ahead and help continue fighting this out. Needs to win this fight is Trobe against Nidris, but the sound barrier is there for the defense, or the offense, and you can see the kill feed as it's lighting up. Shinna with that Dragon Blade was able to get 2 kills, now able to make it 4, as he's going to be able to take out Jonah. Trobe is going to go down, and that's all of the defensive members remaining, and 5:01 will be the time on the clock.
Man, they just got punished for sticking around way too often. They pushed them back, and that was fine and all, but they kept kind of like charged past the the offensive spawn, which basically meant he was just free to kill. Luckily, Fimpy obviously goes deep and kills Noisy, which is already a huge deal. But the fact that they stayed there for so long, they didn't regroup, they didn't basically use the fact that, hey, we just won a great team fight, let's go back and try it again. They didn't use that at all, and they got punished for it, and that's kind of what resulted in it. I honestly, that should have been easily a 7-minute point, but they just got cleaned up and they got rolled over.
Yeah. No, and maybe at the back of it was also, earlier ult management too is always something that you can look at in those situations. If they would have had possibly a Transcendence, possibly a sound barrier to go ahead and stabilize on that last point, is that something that you think that teams aren't, even at the high skill, I feel like it's not something that I see, or when I'm doing my analysis, is I don't sit there and say, oh, that was a really smart save, like he could have sound barriered there, but he ends up not using it because they want to hold the last point. Is that something that teams should start thinking about doing more? Because that last point has a lot of defensive advantage to it because of the close spawn that the defense has.
Yeah, I think that's something teams have to really think about, and I stress it all the time. It's just because when this is a time-based map, it's not about hey, let's burn this ultimate now and try to get some free kills, but you actually have to think about are we approaching a choke point, which is really hard for us to overcome? Is this a defensive hold, which is notoriously very strong? Are we going to need a team wipe on this King of the Hill map? And this is stuff a lot of teams need to start thinking about. And I think that's, besides individual outplays, I think that's something a lot of teams can start adjusting and looking to, maybe optimize to performance. I don't know if that necessarily makes or breaks a team, their ability to do that, but what I think it does is that it makes you have a more optimal performance.
Sounds good to me. I can definitely get on board with that, but at the same token, we'll see here whether or not the offense is going to be enough. Jovel is going to get the first pick of the match with a Fire Strike nonetheless, as he hits 2 targets and ends up cleaning up one, as he's going to push forward, getting another Fire Strike off, and already up to 40%, and he's going to be the highest one on the field. And Normally, Reinhardt ultimate, pretty hard to charge up quickly, but when you can get those high quality fire strikes, it definitely charges quickly. Each fire strike hit does about 9% on his ultimate charge, so defense going to be in a decent position here, but the offense hasn't given up their look yet as Kev is going to push forward at low HP. He doesn't care. He knows he has his team around him. They're healing him up, trying to keep him alive, and so far he hasn't fallen, but there's the defense getting the kills they need to. Nidris gets himself a kill along with the help of his Reinhardt, picking up 2 Fimfy as well. And right now, the drawing board has to be looked at here for the side of NewTeam, but they only have 4 minutes to figure it out.
Yeah, that was just unlucky. Noisy was trying to go for the big flank, and the moment he flanks, everyone else is already engaged, so he really doesn't get that much damage up. Obviously, he does get a kill to trade up, but the fact that Fimfy's, staying back on top of Cafe to get a lot of that vision. Now, this is kind of a really good approach. They're stalling this out. They know they don't need to engage, and great Earth Shatter from Javo really does so much. Takes down Kevin, takes down 2 more, so, man, this is starting to get really dire, and there's not many ultimates up right now. I mean, Kev has his ult relatively soon. Torb is also his ult relatively soon, but in terms of offensive ultimates, there's just nothing really available right now.
Yeah, there really isn't. They need to get some good charge going up, but I mean, I also think, actually, we'll go ahead and leave that there. Fimfy, we're on his camera. This Graviton Surge, that could be absolutely devastating. He hits on 4. The Wraith Form will get them out. They do have the amp up to go ahead and negate some of that, but at the end of the day, it's so hard to negate that kind of situation. Noisy will go ahead and get a return kill, but it's just not enough so far, as Dreft is the only member alive after that, and they're going to go ahead and call it. And unfortunately, it is a situation where they could have played it out, but at the same time, it is worth noting that they had 3 minutes to complete the entirety of the map, which meant only one team fight would have separated them from victory at this point if they would have lost it, or one team fight would have separated them from defeat.
Yeah, and that was just unlucky, the fact that, they just couldn't capitalize on that first one. But, that defensive hole from Copenhagen Flames on the top of Cafe was very smart in terms of stalling out the fight. And they also had Sheena in a very good flank position, which is kind of, something interesting in terms of countering a very good engage. So, at the end of the day, that's unlucky for the side of the NewTeam, but obviously congrats to the Flames for moving on.
Well, I'm not sure who is the leader, but we'll go ahead and figure that out. But they will be moving on to get into our next match, and that will be coming up right after this, guys, as we'll be leaving this lobby and figuring it out in just a second. But we will be getting into that game ideally right after this one, as it should be just back-to-back, as we already have Reason Gaming sitting in the quarterfinals. In fact, most of our quarterfinals is pretty much decided. We can go ahead and let you guys know it is actually completely decided. The top 8 teams of this Go4 number 12 are going to be Overwatch Kings taking on Gamers Origin at the top of the bracket, at the top middle, top bottom if you want to call it that. We're going to have Reason Gaming taking on Copenhagen Flames, as they're going to be going head to head. At the bottom of the bracket, at the top, you're going to have Lemix taking on Project. That game is underway, and I believe they are done with game 1. And at the bottom of that is going to be Gatekeepers versus Anox. So definitely a set of names, not too surprising to see here. But this next match between Reason Gaming and Copenhagen Flames is going to be a pretty important one. As of course, Reason Gaming has been a team that has had performances, has had a breakout or 2 performance into the semifinals, into the finals of Go4 Cups, but they have not yet been able to take it. So it's definitely a very important challenge here for Copenhagen Flames as far as being able to make it to the finals. They have to be able to take out teams of caliber, of Reason Gaming caliber, and as they move up the pecking order. But at the same time, Reason Gaming, of course, going to be looking at this and saying we need to perform strong, because at the semifinals, most likely, Overwatch Kings is going to be waiting there. Yeah,
and of course, man, this game is going to turn into a huge firefight. I think, honestly, Nick is doing so well right now on the McCree, and he's been a large reason of what they're doing well. Obviously, Sheena in the background also on, whether it be Genji or Reaper, obviously another contributing thing. But, I'm excited. Last week we talked a lot about, Snizzle, Sev, Optimus, and, Danchu, and, just doing so well, and especially Snizzle just being on fire as McCree. So I'm definitely excited to see how this works out.
Yeah, and honestly, I think that the top half of the bracket is going to be more likely to potentially be the winner. I mean, it is a situation where I think it depends on where Overwatch Kings is showing. If Overwatch Kings is stepping up to that degree of which we used to see them, they're definitely the heavy contender to win. But if it is the Overwatch Kings of the last few weeks, it could be a situation where they end up faltering at the end. But nonetheless, there's still plenty of action to come, guys. Plenty to be talked about, to be predicted, and not actually happen, as predictions tend to end up making the predictor look a little bit confused with what's going on. But nonetheless, it has been a pretty standard breakdown of the bracket. No major surprises yet, as the only major surprise I think that we have seen so far is NewTeam taking up Pretz, and we did follow that game, and that was a long one to say the least. Definitely a very close match, but the quarterfinals is going to be coming up. Is there anything you want to add to the match chat, to the bracket chat, before we go ahead and send it off to the break so we can top off our water and get ready to cast the first best of 3 of today?
No, I'm just looking forward to best of threes from now on.
All right, well, guys, of course, that is Scribe. If you guys want to follow us on Twitter for more updates and on our casting as such, you can go ahead and do that. The co-caster is Scribe at ScribeOW, and that is a 1 instead of an I for his Twitter handle. And then if you guys would like to follow me, you can follow me at RaptorZOW. If you haven't followed the channel for updates on this channel's casting, as I do try to provide as much Overwatch casting on this channel as possible, go ahead and do so there. But any extra updates of if I'm not casting on this channel, or if Scribe is not casting with me and he's casting somewhere else, you guys can definitely find those updates on our Twitters. But in addition to that, definitely check out at ESL Overwatch on Twitter, since they are allowing us to cast this, as well as they will keep you guys updated with the NA King of the Hill series, with the Go4 Cup series, as well as the Atlantic Showdown that is going on right now. And outside of that, guys, definitely get yourself a drink, definitely get yourself a snack, and definitely get ready to sit down and enjoy the rest of the action, as we have 2 best of 3s and then a best of 5, and that'll go ahead and crown us off for today, and it will be the end of another Go4 Cup. But that's a long ways to go, and ideally 11 games, as we have a full best of 2 full best of 3s and a full best of 5. But until then, guys, enjoy the music, and we'll be right back with the ESL Go4 EU Overwatch Cup number 12 with our quarterfinals of Copenhagen Flames versus Reason Gaming.